Yo, what's happening, people? This is your review for the Arsenal versus Chelsea match today at the Emirates. Arteta's first game as Arsenal manager at the Emirates today ended in defeat, or first time game as the Arsenal boss, ended 2-1 to Chelsea. Yeah, let's get into it, man. I thought actually we played quite well, especially in the first half. Dominated the possession. Ozil was just kind of finding the balls that we need him to find, really, on the pitch. The flow of the game looked like it was sort of going to us, and you could see Chelsea were all over the shop. They were awful for the first half an hour at least. And then really you have to really credit Chelsea for the way that they changed the game. But in that first 30 minutes, we got the first goal. Great movement from Aubameyang. We know he's got that corner came in. And it seems Arsenal do this quite a lot. They work on the first ball in from the corner. See this quite a lot where they go near post, get the flick on, and this time it was Chambers who got the flick on. And even though Chelsea set up where they didn't have anyone directly on the post, so that they could sort of play the offside for the second ball, Aubameyang managed to get round the Chelsea defence, get back onside, and get his header in for the goal for Arsenal. Great header. And Aubameyang does what Aubameyang does. 13 Premier League goals, second on the goal scoring charts now. Despite the terrible time Arsenal having, this man is really just still showing how much of a great striker he is. His strike rate is phenomenal, especially for probably one of the worst teams we've had for a long time. You really hate to see what would he be like in a team which actually had a bit more quality about them. But as I said, he gets his goal, 1-0 Arsenal. And then after that was sort of one of the big talking points of the game. Guendouzi on Tammy. So there was a ball played through, maybe from Tammy to Willian on the wing. And then when Tammy runs into the box, Tammy Abraham runs into the box, and Guendouzi pulls him back on the edge of the box, outside of the view of the referee. Now, this is where it gets a bit interesting, because he pulls him back on the edge of the box. Some may argue it continued into the box. Some may argue he let go on the edge of the box. The main thing, it was outside of the view of the referee. So the referee didn't see it. The referee didn't see it whatsoever. Guendouzi had already been booked at a moment in time, but then VAR had to make the check. Now, let's put this into perspective. The referee didn't see it, so VAR are only checking for a penalty kick. It's not a red card offence, so that automatically goes. They're only checking to see, was the hold, did it continue into the area? Now, because Guendouzi let go at that sort of pivotal time where it may be just in the box, it may be on the edge, but what we do know for a fact, really, is that it's not a clear and obvious mistake for the referee to give a penalty kick, because we don't know if it's in the area or not. It's not clear to see. It's not clear to see exactly whether it was or wasn't. It's debatable. And if it's debatable, we understand that VAR are not going to give the decision. So they're right to not give that as a penalty kick because it's not clear and obvious. Now, however, this is where Guendouzi gets a bit clever, because it's a free kick and it's probably a second yellow card. But again, because the referee didn't see it and didn't blow, the VAR can't check to see whether, they don't check for second yellow cards. They only check for penalty kicks. So in terms of how the law worked for that goal, that's right. Now, of course, we've got this option for the referee to go and check the monitor. Maybe if the referee checks the monitor, he gives a penalty and a second yellow card. Maybe if the referee checks the monitor, there's a free kick for Chelsea and a yellow card for Guendouzi. That don't happen anymore. All we know is the VAR makes the decision, and it's not clear and obvious. So no yellow card for Guendouzi, no penalty, no free kick. Arguable. That's arguable. You could argue Guendouzi done it quite well to do it outside of the sight of the referee. Smart foul, smart little pullback, and got away with it. You could argue. We move. And to probably what is the big talking point of the game is Jorginho. Now, Chelsea started with 5 at the back, or 3 at the back, or 3-4-4-3, or I think it was probably a 3-4-3 formation. But the way we played, we pushed them back into a 5. And I think Frank Lampard, you could tell, didn't really like that at all on the sideline with Jody Morris. And so they decided to change it and bring on Jorginho for Emerson, put Aspilicueta left back and Tomori right back. And it really, in the end, it won Chelsea the game. Jorginho came on and he started to dominate on the ball. He started to make those sort of challenges to stop Arsenal going forward. And it was quite a scrappy end to the half. I felt like the referee didn't really have control of the game. At that point, I feel like challenges were flying in, especially from Chelsea, that I didn't really like. And the referee wasn't really addressing them as much as I felt like he should have. I felt like yellow cards were coming out a bit too late. So I just felt like referee had a poor game, especially in that first half. Lacazette was getting kicked all over the place. And you could argue Chelsea done the right thing. You know, they stopped Arsenal from playing. They had to start fouling Arsenal because they were getting beaten up left, right and centre from the players on the pitch. And then it came into the second half, and this is where I have the sort of main issue with Arsenal, is that we sat so deep. We sat deep and we let Chelsea play football. We let Jorginho dictate the play. We let Kante make the runs off the players. Now, the only good thing was that there was literally nothing going towards Leno's goal. It was one header from Tammy from a corner, I think it was, where he probably should have done better, and Leno had an easy save. But in terms of the actual gameplay, they didn't threaten us, and I didn't feel threatened. If anything, we had some chances to on the break to maybe try and cause Chelsea some harm, but we didn't take advantage of, really. And interestingly, again, Aubameyang was played wide in this game. So we went with a 4-2-3-1 again. Lacazette up top and Aubameyang left wing, Nelson right wing. And Aubameyang was literally bossing it at left midfield, left back. Like, he was chasing back. He was clamping out Tomori, couldn't get any crosses in. He was literally there. For about 20 minutes of that second half, he was literally playing at left back, helping out young Saka at left back, and literally making every single challenge, block, tackle, header. Like, he was in there, and he was doing very, very well. So much so that Chelsea had to bring on a young player for Tomori who'd never played before in the Premier League, just because Tomori just weren't breaking the lines that Aubameyang weren't letting him. He weren't letting him get forward at all, and he was forcing him back. And whether it was high up the field or whether it was back at the fence, Aubameyang was literally everywhere, man. The man, he was just he doing what people didn't expect him to do, because he's a striker and people think he should be up top, but it shows that he has got the quality to do what he needs to do on the left wing when required. So you have to give Aubameyang full credit for that. And then the probably biggest talking point of the game, Jorginho, as I said, came on the pitch to break up play and dictate the play. He did that very well. And then challenges started flying in the second half. He got one where he kind of took out Lacazette, who weren't happy about that at all. But a yellow card given, justified. I'm cool with that. I'm very cool with that. And then then there was a foul. Arsenal had a break on. Guendouzi maybe slightly overran the ball, but managed to get there just before Jorginho, who went for the ball and then pulled back Guendouzi. Quite obviously as well. Quite an obvious pullback. Referee decides to give a foul and then yellow card for Lacazette for protesting against the foul. And it was a foul where it's one of those clear and obvious yellow cards where you pull a man back on a counter-attack to try and stop a counter-attack. Now, this is where I say Chelsea did well to clamp Arsenal at the game, but referee has got to protect players in this, and that's a clear yellow card. Just because there was an incident in the first half two rights doesn't make a wrong. Doesn't mean that you should be the same thing. It was clearly seen where the referee gave the free kick, but didn't feel necessary to give a yellow card to Jorginho. In fact, gave it a card for Lacazette for telling the referee that you made the wrong decision. So, yeah, I didn't understand that whatsoever. And then a few minutes later, Maitland-Niles gets booked for the exact same thing. He pulled a man back down. And Torreira as well pulled a man down and got a yellow card for it. So the inconsistency from the referee was very, very poor in that moment. And then, the goal. Chelsea had a free kick on the left-hand side. Good ball in. Leno come for the ball, missed it completely, and Jorginho had a tap in at the far post. Of course, it was the man who shouldn't have been on the pitch who scored the goal. Poor mistake from Leno. Poor judgment, I'd say, like coming out. I do like a goalkeeper to come out and clear the ball, but you got to get a hand. If you come out, you got to get something on the ball, and he didn't. He's a man that's probably been consistent for us as Aubameyang in terms of his quality this season. Just let us down in that moment. But we can kind of forgive him for that, and I'm sure he'll be able to pick himself up. He's made some mistakes before and learn from it, and I think this is another one where just got to be wary of that judgment and not allowing teams back in the game because of stupid mistakes. And then, of course, we start chasing the game. As we do, we get caught in a counter-attack, and Mustafi and Louise back off Tammy. No one goes to the ball. We need to be going to the ball to stop him going through. Plays the sort of 1-2 with Willian, if you like, and he spins Mustafi and puts it in the net. Again, poor defending from us. We need to show a bit more character in those situations where we need to just be ruthless and go for the ball and not let teams run at us. I know they want to sit back so that the midfield can come back, but for me, the midfield weren't going to get back. They weren't back in time. We were pushing for the winner, and we didn't get back in time. So yeah, it's hard to take a 2-1 defeat to Chelsea in a game where I felt like, yes, Chelsea came back into it and were great on the ball, but nothing was being created with it, and we needed to see the game out more. Looking at the match, I felt like, I know Chambers had to come off injured and Mustafi had to come on, and that sort of didn't really help us. We had to use a substitution for that as well. Bringing on Willock for Ozil, I felt like it was just push us back a lot more, as is to say, we're trying to see this game out at 1-0, and it's always a 1-0, as I say, is always a dangerous scoreline, and we paid dividends to that as well, because we sat back so deep that we ended up conceding 2 goals. I don't really understand why Pepe isn't starting for Arteta. It must be something to do with training, because the last game he started, which was, I think, the West Ham game where he was brilliant, in the 3-1 win there. Is it something that's happening in training that Arteta's not happy with? He prefers Nelson there. Maybe it's the tracking back that Pepe hasn't got and that Nelson's got. I don't know. But I feel like even if we don't start him, we're bringing him on too late. You bring him on in the 85th minute once we're 2-1 down. I feel like you're just not giving the guy an opportunity to run at their defence, you know. They started with Emerson. They then moved Aspie to left back, who hasn't got the legs like he used to. Get someone like Pepe against him. We saw what he did to Cresswell. We saw what he's done to Robertson this season. We saw what he done, I think it was in the Bournemouth game, their left back, where he kind of spun him and got fouled. Like, people don't like players that run at them, and I think Pepe is that kind of player. So I would like to see that a bit more. I know we've got Manchester United on a Wednesday, so we're interested to see what our team Arteta goes with there. Got a few injuries now with the Chambers injury, and Mustafi had quite a bad head injury as well. So let's see what happens with that. I'm not confident going to the Man United game. We're 12th in the league going into the new year. But, it's a new era under Arteta, and things are going to take a bit of time to change. But we need things to change drastically, really. You know, we're not far off the bottom 3. And we're nowhere near the top 4. So I guess the aim is to really just put performances together and start getting results ASAP. We're hearing Arteta maybe dipping into the transfer market in January. Let's see what happens there, man. If he can bring in 1 or 2 signings just to help the team progress a lot more. Obviously, rumours that Jack is leaving as well, and he wasn't in the matchday squad today. Apparently, he was ill. So we'll see what happens with his move to Berlin, which looks like it may be on. We've got a couple to return from injury, so Danny Ceballos is nearly fit, and we need our fullbacks back, man. Just to give us another edge going forward. Bellerin, Tierney, Kolasinac, just something to give us a bit more going forward. But, we lost today against Chelsea, but yeah, we can hold our heads up high because we started very, very well in that game. It's just about how we manage a game and how we see a game out. Yeah, man. Thanks for watching, guys.